Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to My Daily Discipline number 91. My name's Rob Hoback, art by Samuel and Addison Hoback. Let's get to work. My mom's waiting. I am for the day. I am unique. I'm not like everybody else. Neither are you. And I can't really talk about how you're different because I don't really know. I just know how I'm different. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. So for now, let's talk about what we're thankful for. I'm thankful that I'm unique. I see a lot of people that seem to be struggling, all right? They just don't seem to be happy when you talk to them. They talk like they're unhappy, but they're not doing anything to make their life any better. And that makes me sad. That makes me, it makes me think, right? And like I said, I'm glad that I always want to better myself, but at the same time, it torments me too. So just something to think about. So I am unique, and so are you. So again, thanks for joining. If you enjoy this, I'm certainly glad that you're here. I love it. So yesterday we talked about having a poor mind, poor decisions. And again, it doesn't have anything to do with how much money you have. There's people that are wealthy that have a poor mind, right? And so we've also talked about how people with poor minds get addicted to chaos and they can't stop and they just keep wanting it. And so I just wanted to remind everybody, as if you needed a reminder, you're going to get one more, that what we think about is what we eventually speak about. And what we speak about is eventually what we do or the actions that we take. And if whatever we do repeatedly is who we become. So understanding that, it's so important that we meditate and we pray so that we can become who we want to become this year, right? Again, we're at noon today. We'll be halfway through the first month of the year. So it's a good toll gate for us to look and say, all right, what is the one step that I can take today that's going to get me where I want to go? And so one of the things that I wanted to talk about, that this has been on my mind, because again, I battle my poor mind every day. And the good news is it happens to everybody. Everybody battles a poor version of themselves, a lazy version of themselves, a selfish version of themselves. We all do it, right? That's the bad news. The good news is you can do this, right? Like, just look at other people that are doing it better than you are and be like, well, they battle the same. They have the same 24 hours that I do. They have the same negative versions of themselves, right? It's just which one do they nurture? And so a trap that poor people fall into, and I've fallen into this myself, is the poor person's entitlement. I deserve that. The things that they don't need, that they don't deserve, often our poor mind convinces ourselves that we need it. So I'll give you a couple examples in my life. When I lived in Chicago I lived there for? Almost 10 years in the same place, right? Had a nice little bit of equity in there. And again, I lived 50 miles from downtown Chicago. I mean, I was a long ways away. Lived in a reasonable townhouse in a reasonable development in a reasonable area. And so I convinced myself that since I was making more money when I left Woodstock and moved to Phoenix, and I got a bonus and all these other things, that I was going to significantly upgrade so I bought a place that was 2 times as expensive as what I had before. And I didn't deserve that. I wasn't entitled to that. It was all bullshit in my mind, and it bit me in the ass, right? And that wasn't the first time or the last time. It's kind of like, a poor person, an undisciplined mind gets a taste of something, and they're like, oh, well, I want that all the time, right? A perfect example of that is how we respond communally to a win, right? Like a championship that, a sports team climbs to the top, and then all of a sudden that's the expectation. Every year the expectation is that that team's going to climb the mountain. But like, well, based on what? Like for the Cubs, they just went 120 years or whatever without winning the World Series. To think that they're going to do it every single year is just unrealistic. So, but we do that with ourselves. We do that with our body. We do that with our mind. Think about this. I've got a video that I have on repeat where a guy is kind of getting on somebody. He says, you don't deserve to sleep, right? Like for all of us that, we have a tough day, like, oh, I'm going to go take a nap. Challenge yourself. Like, do you deserve a nap right now? Do you deserve a break? Are you really working as hard as you think you are? Or is just with the benefit of perspective, you didn't do shit before, so you do a little bit now, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I'm working so hard. So, and the best advice I could give you is, what advice would you give yourself, right? And I do this to myself often, is I ask myself, what advice would I give somebody else in this situation? And if it were a poor person, or excuse me, a poor-minded person saying, oh, I deserve that, I want to buy this, I want to do that, and they didn't, be like, nah, I'm not sure that's a good idea. So, look, I'm not throwing stones, I'm not doing anything other than just telling you how the battles I fight up here every day. The biggest fight's right up here. We all know that. So with that, I'm done for the day. Don't make poor-minded decisions. Think as if, right? Think as if. And remember, it's okay to say, I can't afford that. I don't need it, right? Because let's just be honest, unless we're sitting around and we don't need to work and we've got all of that, then chances are those are just temptations and we don't need to do it. Hands up, peace out. We are better together. Thank you so much for joining and spending a few minutes with me this morning. I appreciate it. I love you. Have a great day. I'll be back tomorrow. Thanks. Bye.